Hey everybody, how you doing today?
I'm
It
doing pretty
is
well. Am I part of everyone?
Yes, you are Samuel. How you doing today?
Pretty great. Yeah, thank you. Hi, Stuart.
All right then. Welcome to I guess the first official or second.
I think second.
It's the second Trekyards podcast, I guess,
It's a
but
podcast.
the first official one, I think.
The first official, not anniversary podcast. Podcast.
Podcast. Welcome to the podcast where we just
Welcome to the podcast.
chat about stuff and things and be us. So we're going to
And
call it we're off duty. Let's say. How do you like that?
no one's in
Off duty
uniform.
Trekyards.
No one's in uniform.
Oh,
The
good. I can
sets,
get out of my uniform.
the sets are still the same, but yeah, we're just more chillax. And this week, well, we both saw a film and we both want to talk about it. So what are we talking about today, Stuart?
We're talking about a little man named Marvin. Marvin the Martian. I mean, just the Martian.
Matt Damon, the Martian.
Yes, 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 yes.
First colonizer of Mars, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
That took what? A minute and a half to get into that.
Well, yeah.
So this is a film released very recently, like 2 or so weeks ago, and I went and saw it on 3 days ago, and you saw it a week ago.
I saw it the Thursday before it opened. It was opening on Friday. We got an early screening on the Thursday.
Yeah, it's been out 15 days. Well, as when we record this, 15 days.
Yes.
So you saw it pre. Oh.
And I gotta ask you a question. Did you see it in awesome 3D?
I actually did, yeah. It's funny because Andrew Probert, who we all know, legendary Trek designer of the that. Yeah, he put on Facebook how he went and saw it and he really liked it and 3D was worth the trip. So Dad, who treated us to go see it, was like 3D, and we're like, okay. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things which we don't tend to do 3D unless there's a specific reason, unless it's like most films don't warrant it, but when they do, they really do, sort of thing.
Yeah, the only ones I see in theater generally are like sci-fi, something that needs a big screen. I don't see dramas and all that
Yeah,
spy thrillers and stuff on a big
yeah.
screen. I just wait for those. But most of the stuff I see on a big screen need 3D, but not
Ye-
this 3D. This is the blue and red 3D. It's old school.
Yeah, I saw Gravity in 3D and it was pretty impressive.
I did too. I
That
saw
was
that in IMAX actually with the bigger screen,
oh,
which is
that must have been
it was intense. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, The Martian. Yeah, so both saw in 3D. So first of all, what did you think overall?
I was blown away. I hadn't read the book before, but I went with a
No.
bunch of my buddies that had read the book, and the book, of course, is by Andy Weir.
Okay.
Um, so
Hmm.
they they were very impressed with it. They said
Okay.
there's very little that's the book and the movie are pretty much on par. There's very little that's not in the movie that was in the book. There's a few little technical things, but
Yeah.
usually it's the total opposite. The movie's like
Yes.
goes off on a tangent sometimes. So
Or focuses on the wrong detail and just spins that off into its own. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Ridley Scott must have loved the material because you can sense real appreciation and affection for whatever's happening. You know, the money's clearly gone in, the time's clearly gone in,
yeah.
and it's a pretty enjoyable film.
What I really appreciate though is the realism of it, like the
Yeah.
fact that the technology they used. We should be there technically, I think, but because of all the politics and all that and money, it just we're not there yet. And I think that's really I really enjoyed about it. And the yeah, I think the 3D really did it credit because the Martian vistas in 3D were amazing.
Yeah.
And there were a few moments that were just kind of not in your face 3D, but very subtle.
Also, it's probably worth saying we won't do spoilers until we say do spoilers because that's probably worth saying.
Yes, we should probably, yeah, we should maybe put a little spoilers on the screen. No?
Yes, so we'll say when we get to spoilers when we do story stuff. But yeah, I was impressed by 3D. It was 3D for me is always one of those things where it just adds something. You forget it's there at some point, but I like every 20 or so minutes to take the glasses off and just readjust that it's 2D, and then I can enjoy 3D again. And it just gives you that real window feeling. And this was filmed in 3D, I believe. And yeah, it just felt real, and that added to the realism of the fact, it feels like a realistic scenario. It doesn't push any boundaries very far in terms of unbelievable science or unbelievable anything, bar the occasional whatever that has to for story purposes. But it was very close to home, and 3D just gave it that extra realism that really, I that could have been a documentary.
Exactly. And a
You
lot
know,
of people, I've been reading that a lot of people think it's real. That was based on a real story.
based on a
I don't understand that personally. I like
Right.
it would be it's wishful thinking. That'd be awesome if we could get to Mars with people. And I don't know. I don't know. It
Based
just
on a
is,
true story with Matt Damon.
yes.
Before
I've seen
Born, he was Martian.
and I've seen a meme that said America spent a lot of money rescuing Matt Damon, Saving
Yes.
Private Ryan, Interstellar, The Martian. Matt Damon, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, so I gotta ask, a lot of these films, I mean, for Interstellar, I went in knowing absolutely nothing about it. I'd seen the first trailer, which didn't give anything away. Didn't even know any the cast, bar the obvious, the main guy. So what did you go into The Martian knowing or not knowing?
I went in knowing that it was based on a book. The
Yep.
book was really good,
Mm-hmm.
and all my sci-fi and real space fanatic friends loved it.
Okay.
And I've always been a fan of Matt Damon, so I went in
Mm.
expecting a damn good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know exactly how like realistic it would be, or what time period it was set in. I knew it was
Mm.
relatively close to our.
But I don't think they even give a date specifically,
They don't know.
which I was impressed by. It's like it added to the extra.
It could be a decade from now, and that would
Could be
probably
five
be
years.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, I didn't go in with. I went in with a high expectation for a good film because it's Ridley Scott, it's Matt Damon, it's sci-fi, but
Yeah.
almost space realism too. It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily science fiction, and so I was very very happy at the end result.
Yeah,
But
I went in.
I kind of regret not reading the book first. I would have liked to. I still got to get around to that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna now go back and listen to the book anyway, because audiobooks. But then I can obviously now visualize it based on the movie, which is good. Yeah, I went in knowing he was lost on Mars, and that's the way I wanted to do it because all the trailers you don't want the imagery to spoil what's going on. So I didn't even watch a trailer. I think I just seen a TV spot that was like 15 seconds, and it was like, oh hey Matt Damon, oh you lost, okay, which I liked because it very few times now you can go into a film not even knowing almost anything. But this I think was one of the very very few films ever of this type anyway where so films a narrative the goodies win. That's what happens, right? And anyone if Matt Damon's in another film, Born, say, he's not going to die at the end of it. He's not. He's the main character even at the end of the trilogy. Spoiler. So this is one of the few films he's going to escape, obviously, because they're not going to do that. They're not going to kill him off. But it doesn't matter because it's everything in between that you're enjoying.
Mhm.
So it's not about the destination. It's not even about like. It's just this is a really enjoyable, cool film. There's no like, oh, I knew that was going. Oh, I saw this coming. Oh, it was just no, that was a really fun ride, and it was worth seeing. There's no wow, that's the ending.
So are you quoting Harry Kim there from Voyager? It's not the destination, it's the journey.
To the journey. That's a different podcast. But yeah, yeah, that's why I felt it was. I was really in the moment with this film, just really wrapped up in everything that was happening. I wasn't having to overthink it. I wasn't having to push forward. I was just in it, which was really enjoyable.
Hmm. Well, the thing that really I liked about it was the isolation factor. Because
Mm.
I don't know about you, but if I'm alone for like a day or two, I usually go crazy. I mean,
Well, I
I
lived
like.
alone for a year, apart from talking to you. So I was,
Oh, I'm always there. You know
yeah,
what I mean? But yeah. So the fact that he was there for I forget the total number of days that it
five
was,
hundred
but
ish, meant to be 800. Then, well, things happened.
yes.
Yeah,
But yeah, just imagining a year by yourself, like with absolutely no other human interaction
yeah.
except for disco music. That would drive me
Although
insane.
that said, given the technology, she probably had like 200, 300 tracks. In my head it was like, oh, they only had 11 or 13, but they probably had a lot of tracks.
Yeah, they never really clarified that. That'd be good to know. If it was like just one album, that would kind of suck.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, what I came away though thinking for the film, it feels like an ensemble film, even though it's primarily one dude because you've got all the parts of Matt Damon where he plays everything so pitch perfect, and then you've got everyone else with this, well, the ship and everyone else. You've got this larger cast all doing a good job, and you have these very busy scenes, these very small scenes with Matt Damon, but the whole thing together feels like an ensemble piece, which is a hell of an impressive thing when the premise is that one man lost. It didn't just feel like Matt Damon was the lead. The whole film was a group piece.
Mm. Yeah, and I thought there would be a lot less of everyone else, to be honest. Going into it, I didn't know exactly what to expect that way, whether it was just all just him,
Yeah.
like, and just from his perspective, talking to them maybe on the monitor.
That I
But
think would have
I
got a
didn't
bit
know there was.
repetitive because you can't just keep one manning it.
Well, I agree, but I didn't know what to expect going into it.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back to what you asked me earlier. Because it would have been kind of neat to almost see it from that point of view in a way, to not see the Earth side of it, to see what they were doing, but to not know, to be on Mars and not know if they're
Yeah.
coming or when they're coming.
I think we got just enough though, because that would have been more of a horror film, like really alone. This is more of a science fiction film, like as an overall piece. But yeah, I think we got just enough of everything. Although I think the ship was underserved a bit, given how they built the sets, and they obviously did a very CG, nice CG model for the ship. A little bit underused, but I think everything was roughly in the right proportion.
Yeah. And speaking of the ship,
Yes.
very, very cool design.
Yeah, I have a picture of it right here.
Yeah. And it actually had a few of the good 3D moments where it was kind of coming towards the camera, and it was like that's the stuff that I enjoy. So
Yeah, it's now all these sort of very real yet futuristic ship designs are always rotating sphere, rotating wheel of some sort, and then solar panels, and you can't really get away from that. But this was interesting. This was a really fun take on it with it was very scarce, and obviously you guys can just Google a picture of the ship. It's very bare bones, feels very real. I would have thought it would take a hell of a long time to build, but my favourite part of it absolutely was the wheel, where they got only 4 pods with gravity, and you actually have to go in one way and then you back out into it, and you sort of jump down and you get on. That was brilliant, very smooth. And I like that. It's just you got these 4 nice rotating pods, because the whole thing that feels very real to me. Like, we haven't got gravity except these very dedicated, very specific gravity zones, which I liked.
yeah, and also that rotating part where they had the gravity was really cool. The way they had the windows, because you got some really cool shots. You'd see the Earth go by or the stars, and they kept rotating. So very cool visuals in this movie. If for nothing else, just the visuals themselves were amazing.
But they weren't, for the sake of it or blow you away. They were just like, this is what would have happened, and in that you got the beauty. Seeing it, rotate around the Earth was like, ooh.
Yeah, they just enhanced the story. They didn't try to use the visuals to tell the story around the visuals, which is what I hate.
Pulls us into something that I loved. It's such a real feeling film, we said earlier, because they filmed a lot of the exterior stuff in reddish, well, not red, but brownish deserts, and they color corrected all that jazz, and they all these mountains, most of them are real. He went and walked, and they drove the it's all, a lot of it's real shots, and then they filmed a lot of it in green screen. But again, a lot of the set was real even on the green screen, so it was real but with extension, and you get that real feel, and it's that beautiful blend where it's not doing it for effect, it's just doing it to make the world as good as you can be, and that really came across.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to actually tell which shots were genuine desert and which ones were CGI for the Martian landscape, because where am I going with this?
Well, I've seen some shots, some CG breakdowns, and it is a case of most of the longest shots are flybys of helicopters, and they just CG in other mountain ranges beyond, and then craters in the shots of most of them.
Well, I haven't seen a making of this yet. That would be really interesting, actually.
So, what do you think of the story and how it was done?
It was interesting. The catalyst for them getting off the planet was kind of made sense for Mars, but at the same time, I've heard since then that there's not windstorms quite that bad that would do that on Mars. So I don't know.
All he needed was that one awful one, that one in 100 years, because he didn't get one that bad again. So I mean, it was just the bad timing.
That is true.
But it's amazing that NASA, you can launch a mission that takes 4 years to build and to send off and train them, and then it's just one storm and you got to get home. That seems like such a... I would certainly build in the ability to re-land, because my God, if you had to waste $10 bajillion because of one sandstorm that you can't control, I mean, that seems...
Yeah, we need better technology as far as that goes, because that's one of the main problems with all the launches we've had over the years for the space shuttle and stuff. It's all throwaway technology, basically, for the rockets, which we need to develop. But
speaking of, how will that spaceship land? Just like the Phoenix, how does it land? It doesn't.
I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah. I like the story. I thought it hit all the right beats. It was kind of emotional in its own way. I really did, you know, feel the vibe, feel the sadness, and the happiness and the build up, all different points, because you really got into the characters. And even though you could say Matt Damon's just Matt Damon, he was so funny and he was so energetic, and so another character's also funny. Like all the they just did the right vibes. It was very good storytelling and simple, obviously, but it was the simple problems that needed clever solutions. But the solutions themselves weren't complicated; they were just clever.
It's just like Apollo 13, though. All
Well,
the
yeah,
things that they
yeah,
had to fix on the fly,
yeah.
and they had to develop those fixes down here on Earth, like with what they had available up there.
Yeah, well, I compared this as soon as I went out of the cinema to Apollo 13. Like, this is our generation, well, my generation's Apollo 13, as it were, and I think I want to go back and see that film because obviously you see smaller budget and very little CGI in comparison. This one is that was to the moon. This is the Apollo 13 of Mars, and you have a bigger scope because you can. So next Apollo 13 version will be the sun. Or do we already have that with?
We can only land on that at night, don't you know? Anyway, no, that kind of makes me wonder though. What is NASA's policy if this was actually sending someone to another planet? What would their policy be on that, on leaving an actual body behind, and the odd chance that he might still be alive? You would think they would consider that. I know the situation warranted they get the hell out of there as fast as they could, and they couldn't go back for his body. But you got to wonder because people can survive things like that. They
Well,
need
only
to
Matt
have a
Damon,
backup
apparently.
plan. Well, yes.
I think though a lot of this film was brought about because of the media, because it's not just what makes sense, it's not just what's financially viable, it's the people will hate and hate on you and get this massive uproar, and you can never do anything again if you don't go save them. I thought that was interesting, or at least try, because how much money did they spend to save one man?
But they'd have to.
But that seems strange because it's like they could have paid. Imagine if you said, right, okay, we can buy the next mission or save one man. Or the next mission can go to Jupiter, and it's like, well, it's like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. This was the need of the one outweighs anything else, which is good from a human standpoint, but it just seemed like a lot of effort to save one dude who knew the risks, who went in, who all this jazz.
A lot of that is mentioned in the movie, though, as far as NASA's budget goes. Because if they lose somebody, even with the space shuttle and stuff, their funding got cut back after disasters, and to leave a human on another planet, that's like
yeah, but then if
that's a publicity nightmare for them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, exactly. But if you have to spend the entire next year's budget to save the one guy this year, you're not going to get another budget next year. Like, you're going to get more money because you went and saved them and spent all of their money. Because it's like saying, right, taxpayers, everyone in the US has to pay $100 more of tax this year to save him. Every single person. Because it takes a lot of money. Like, okay, they didn't actually do anything that would involve that much money. They sent their own. Wasn't about to spot it there. They didn't do that much. They did a lot, but like it probably wasn't billions necessarily because they didn't build a whole new ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a tough one because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I mean, the heroic thing to do is try to get him back alive, even if you have to.
Well, it creates not only just a great story, but can you imagine though the press saying NASA, we accidentally left man, we bloody saved him from Mars. That's an incredible. That is NASA. You go like.
Well, NASA gets more funding then.
Yeah.
Make it rain. Make it rain.
It was a rescue from Mars. I mean, just saying that is ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
Even saving someone from the moon would be like, wow, you just saved someone from the moon.
And I bet you there were people on Earth that thought it was a conspiracy theory. It was all made up. It was like the moon, those conspiracy theories about the moon landing.
Yeah.
It never happened. It was filmed on a soundstage.
Yes.
So you never know.
Yes.
No matter what you do, there's always going to be people that doubt what you've done.
Yeah.
Kind of off topic there.
Yeah. So, what did you think about the sets, the sort of realism of them, and the spaceship and the Martian buildings, I suppose?
They were very, like, it goes back to that realism that I talked about earlier. Very small, compact, very minimal. for the habitation that they had on Mars, which made perfect sense. It's exactly how they would have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think nothing pushed into science fiction, but everything had a sleeker future NASA feel.
I wouldn't even say future. I'd say it's
Well,
very much
everything
on
was
par with
so
what.
sleek, like everything was so refined. Like if you think back to the Martian base itself, I mean, it was very clean lines, very like expensive. I guess you would only send the best to another planet, so I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I actually saw there's a floor plan online if you look up the Martian Hab, which I'm looking at right now. It's
Oh.
actually very interesting to see the layout they have. It's so small and compact.
Hmm.
It's like 3 rooms
Yeah,
in the sleeping area.
I
So
got the sense of that the further we went on, but I definitely thought I guess the greenhouse room was another room to the observation or the science room. So I guess he can you imagine though he was in such a compressed space.
mhm.
It's interesting.
He scienced the shit out of that.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I thought where he did his thing, his biology thing, was in a separate,
Yeah.
like off to the side. But it's actually one of the main parts of the whole hab there. So
Yeah, he really
so he
was.
had very little room for himself, which again, going back to that isolation, how can you not go crazy?
And not even. I mean, he didn't even build a football with a face on. Keep himself company. Didn't even do that. But then again, he could type to Earth. Sort of spoiler there, but that was impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to NASA's training, the fact all the stuff that he MacGyvered together to
Yeah. Super impressive.
do things that weren't necessarily designed for it, which is amazing. So
And isn't that rover thing? Wasn't that what we just sent up? Wasn't that sort of the joke?
yeah,
The super advanced now on Mars, and it's like,
no,
oh yeah, we abandoned that 20 years ago, and it's just like, oh, that's super high tech now. Oh.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of the spacesuit, what do you think of the spacesuit?
Spacesuit was amazing.
Yeah, I like the spacesuit.
Very sleek. Actually, it reminds me a lot of the ones from Star Trek Enterprise. Just
Really?
different, just different helmet. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that they were more armored. I felt, or the padding was more thick. This was very sort of skin tight. This was very. This felt like he's wearing a one piece jumpsuit, absolute tight, with a bit of technical jiggery poker and a huge helmet. But everything is super, good movement. Whereas the Enterprise, they're not movement based. Like you
yeah.
can't move around easily in that. This
I
one
can
was
see that.
very ideal for moving.
I was just talking about the main chess piece. Reminds
Oh,
me a
okay.
lot of Enterprise.
Oh,
Um,
but yes.
but yeah, it's basically like you said, it's like a flight suit almost
Hmm.
with a couple straps and then the main part at the top. So I was wonder how it would keep them warm. Really,
Well, hmm,
I'm sure that they have technology like this. Actually, if you the one picture
yeah.
I'm looking at here, there's shirts, their undershirts that they have underneath the suit
Hmm.
have piping through them, which is what would keep them
Yeah.
heated. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking because there's a bit where in the film where you actually see the classic spacesuit or older spacesuits,
mhm.
spacesuits. It's interesting how that is a much thicker, much bulkier. This is clearly the shorter range. Deal with different environmental situations, and I like how that they're different. I like that they're red or orange. They did that quite cleverly as artistic choice. Let's just follow the color palette. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love they have GoPros everywhere. That's nice referencing real technology.
As I'm sure they would.
As of yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. No, it was good. It was yeah, and gaffer tape. Boy, do they love gaffer tape. They're yeah. Everyone needs to have
Yeah.
gaffer tape with them at all times.
Yeah, he repaired his helmet. Oh, spoiler, I guess. He repaired his helmet with duct tape. So,
Oh, is that what you call it?
yeah, duct tape over here in the real world, Samuel.
Just because your country's bigger, and my country's very small, so what? Yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What else do I have? Yeah, I don't know. Anything else that really spoke out to you when you watched it?
No, the ending where they retrieved him was a little far fetched.
Yeah,
But
but then how else? I liked all the challenges. I liked every step of how he did that
Yeah.
until the bit where the plot had to be. Because if they just picked him up, you would have been like, oh, okay.
True. Well, yeah, you need those.
I think we've got to say
action
the
moments.
mega spoilers now because this we got to talk about the story. We got to talk about the ending. So this is now the bit where we talk about the ending.
There
He
you
gets
go.
rescued.
Yay! Yeah, it would have sucked for them to go all the way slingshot around Earth, go back, add another year and a half or whatever it was to their trip,
Yeah, 14
which
months.
would have sucked for them and their families, by the
And
way.
they haven't got much space on that ship. You know, they really don't. Yeah.
Well, really, they're surrounded by space, Daniel. Ha! It's the final frontier. Anyway, no, but for them to actually do that, go back, and then be almost like, what was it, 80 or 70 kilometers short
Yeah.
or too high to get them? And it's like, oh, seriously? Could you imagine?
Well, no, I don't have to. I saw it, and it was dramatic. No, it was really interesting. And I loved how the tension was there, even though you knew you get rescued, and it was. It's one of those, you know, when they grab a hand and it's that sort of moment, but they really played it off nicely,
Mhm.
and the CG was great. Again, it didn't. Well, part of it I saw later on is that, you know, the airlock hatch where she leaves in a jetpack thing. They actually built that as a set, so everything you see of him in it and them leaving is all real.
Mhm.
So it's not just a green anything. There's obviously green behind it, but yeah, that was all these things. It just felt very real and very. They did a good job there, guys. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I love the post ending, post rescue. We didn't need to see them get home, but it was really good to see them later. To see that post, you know, that was really good.
Yeah, I like the way they wrapped it up. It would have been interesting to kind of hear his conversation with them on board the ship after he had like a nap about how he did things. But I mean, you have a year of travel
Yeah,
back, so
yeah,
you could tell all
exactly.
these stories. One thing that kind of bugged me actually,
Yeah,
a
okay,
lot of
what don't we like?
a lot of actors actually get really into their roles. Like Matthew McConaughey, have you seen his body for some of his roles? He gets like down to a
Hmm.
skeleton almost.
Yeah,
This one, Matt Damon was apparently that thin, but it was actually a body double. So he didn't really invest himself into this role. He grew a beard for one part, but I mean, he didn't do the whole Matthew McConaughey thing, which is not healthy, by the way, but where you change your whole appearance. But
well,
those scenes where you see him walking from behind with he's like a very, very, malnourished. That
so you're
wasn't
saying
him.
you want Matt Damon to be malnourished? You
Yes, for his
yeah.
roles, Matt Damon, do it.
Come to set every day weak and feeble and barely know your lines. That there's a craft table there for a reason. You know, Ridley Scott kept taking him to the craft table saying the turkey's amazing. I mean, what do you expect him to do, okay? What do you expect?
True, true. But I mean, that's the one thing that kind of bothered me was that I know that other actors go all out for their roles, and that one you could tell it was a body double, because even later after he got into the suit, you could see his like the bulk of his arm. Right? It's like seriously.
But yeah, what would you say was the worst parts of the film then? What did you least enjoy, or what do you think worked least well for you?
Wow,
Mm.
that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. It's really nitpicky stuff now, isn't it? Because it's such a strong film. I think that the membrane that he put with the tarp and the tape off the airlock blew up.
Mhm.
That wouldn't have lasted as long as it was meant to. Like, I can't see that being 100 days worth of secure pressure. Sorry. You
No,
know,
I agree. I agree with that. That would have been one of the things.
a little bit far fetched. Like, it would have been nice even if you just done two, one at the front, one at the back, to create a different pressure seal between them. But just one, like, I wouldn't trust that, especially since he's counting all the potatoes and like, oh, oh no.
Yeah.
Within 5 seconds.
Also the end where he had to get rid of all the weight on the capsule to launch.
I loved that so much.
I know. So I did too. It was awesome, but A, that would have been a pain in the ass to do, and
Well,
B,
yeah, but you got
to cover it with a tarp. That's just. I was like, what?
it's meant to be stupid though. It's meant to be like the absolute last ditch attempt, the last thing.
I know, but jeez.
But yeah, and yeah, it was a really good film.
It was very good. It's hard to find things that I didn't like about it, to be honest.
Because it's one of those things where the high points, you know, when the story, you know, reaches these peaks, that's the really high moments because that's the story progression. But there are very few low points. It's just this always interesting, always pacey, always the slow pace works, the fast pace works. There's no boring. There's no.
That's true. That's one thing I kind of expected going into it. I was wondering how boring are parts of this going to be because it's just him, right?
He's funny though. He's really funny. He was really charismatic and interesting, and he made all his scenes. And yeah.
Now I gotta ask, watching it, were you wondering what you would have been doing in those situations?
Dying.
Besides dying, I see myself dancing around naked to disco music, just because there's no one around.
Well, he did for 500. Yeah, I mean.
He was wearing clothes too often. Not that don't want to see Matt Damon naked or anything. But
you did see his ass. Probably not. But I mean,
it wasn't his ass. It was his. We talked about this. It was a body double.
Oh, that was the scene. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have tried to learn to get better at chess or something, or I'd have probably written a book. But then, how much time do I spend on problems just surviving? I don't think they had much leisure time.
Exactly. You wouldn't have any leisure time, really.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, you would have a bit, because it's a lot of hours in the day. And you can only solve so many problems in a day, because the fact is, we sort probably all his major problems.
Yeah.
So the rest of the time, he's making sure the crops are doing well, making sure he's rationing, making sure he's exercising, staying sane. I mean, there's not, he's not exploring. He's probably a bit, but, I don't know. Basically, I would like to go to Mars at some point.
Yes, that's one thing I left this movie thinking. I want to go to Mars. I really do.
Or just that bit at the end where she's on the not jetpack, you know what I mean, the thruster suit, and she's seeing Mars. Can you imagine the majesty of flying out of your ship? Here is Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in front of me apart from this little dot, and all you've got is one piece of glass in front of your face, and you could just... That must have been, if it was real, that would have been the most incredible thing to see. Just the reality of the spatial thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so quick review. Great movie.
Yes.
There we go.
I think a very, very, very solid another Ridley Scott, showing that he's a really good director that just makes good films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I missed. We needed aliens in this one, though.
Well, yeah. That would be interesting.
Yeah. It is also cool that they tied in the announcement that there was liquid water on Mars, to almost a day or so before the movie released, and NASA actually put that off until then. So I thought it was really, really good timing on NASA's part. I don't know if they did that deliberately, but spark interest about Mars.
Yeah, but it was genius how he got water on Mars. That was genius.
It was a little bit dangerous, but
well, he had a bad first try. Anyway, so if you had to give a film out of 10, because it's worth getting a sort of really summarized view of it, so out of 10, what would you give it?
I'd have to give it a 9. It was like I said, there's very little that I found wrong with it, and yeah, it was a great movie. I'm definitely going to watch it again and again and again.
Yeah, I would say absolutely a 9 as well. Probably 9 point something, but I think at that point it's a really strong 9, and I'd be interested to see what if there's there's a director's cut, or if there's special features that come out, and commentaries like this. This is definitely a DVD or a Blu-ray where you just want to know everything else because it's such a well-made film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So well done, Ridley Scott. Well done, Matt Damon. Well done, Martian, and well done for surviving.
Yay! Let's give credit to Andy Weir as well for writing the book, because without the book there'd be no movie. And speaking of which, I do need to either read or listen to the book. So it'll probably be listened to because I don't have time to read.
Me too.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for the Martian movie review, but yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Samuel, any last thoughts or anything?
Well, let us know what you thought of the film. If you've seen it, if you've not seen it, what you thought of if you've seen both the 2D and the 3D, because I think it would have been a totally different experience in 2D. I think we wouldn't have the same... Yeah, we've explained it already, but you wouldn't have the same exact feel. Yeah, I mean, just let us know what you think. Let us know anything else you want to talk about on the podcast. We've got some ideas, but what would you like to hear us crazy people talk about? Oh dear, pretty much unedited.
And I got to say, too, if you haven't seen it in 3D, see it in 3D.
Yeah. If you've waited this long, do. Yeah.
It's definitely worth it, and there's no moments that'll make you sick or anything like that.
It's just one of those films that it will be best in the cinema, and it'll be best in 3D.
Yeah, it definitely enhances the experience for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you want to bring up at all, Stuart, for this week?
Well, just that we need to go move on to do some. We're going to be recording some mission briefings right after this, but
Yes.
you get to see those later, guys. Other than that,
Oh, a new haircut. But because we have backlog, I'm still going to have long hair for a bit, but actually I've got short hair, so you can sort of tell when I... If you watch continuity of my haircut, it does change a little bit. But yeah, there you go. That's me right now.
yeah, mine's long, needs to be cut, so it'll be cut in the next few days probably, but
Which might be 34 episodes from now. We're looking forward to the next many weeks. And other shows. We did well with the Patreon, guys, but we have lots of other stuff we want to bring you. And as always, $5, $10, anything you can give, because we're like $360-ish now. We can get 500, 600, 700. We can produce a lot of content for you guys, and you will love it all. All of it. Every single minute, mostly.
well, except for the parts where you're talking, Sam.
That's so hard. Wow.
I'm just kidding. You're probably the favorite of the show. I don't know. Everybody likes you. You're so dynamic, and you got that British accent. You speak well.
The accent must win me most popular. Yeah,
it does. Because if you guys could read his writing and his spelling, it's not as good as his speech. So
I'm eloquent and thoughtful in real life, but not in... I can't spell.
On that note, I think
Yes.
we'll call this a wrap for this episode. But thank you
Okay.
guys for tuning in. And
Yes.
this podcast it's a thing now. It's fun.
Yeah, and if you want to see more, like I say, support us on Patreon, give a donation, and let us know if you want us to continue, because we've got to have a big enough audience to make it sort of worth our while. 'Cause it takes a little while to do, and a bit of thought and everything. So anyway, we're going to go film some more stuff. So enjoy the week, enjoy everything else we produce, and tune in next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.